Randy Meisner, whose vocal range helped catapult the Eagles to fame, has died.
Amid a wave of mourning, Don Henley finally spoke out following the death of Randy Meisner, but what he said was far more than just the first time Henley revealed private moments about his former bandmate, recalling tensions within the Eagles, the struggles behind the glamour, and the truth about their complicated relationship. His words shocked fans, suggesting that Meisner's story was far deeper than the world had ever known. Once dismissed as the forgotten Eagle, Randy Meisner was finally being remembered for the genius he truly was. Randy Herman Meisner was born on March 8, 1946, in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, a quiet farming town where life revolved around orchards and harvests. His family worked long hours in fruit farming, but young Randy was drawn elsewhere. Music became his escape, coming to him through the small radio that filled his nights with the sounds of Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and the Everly Brothers. He started out on guitar but found his true calling when he picked up the bass. "You're not just playing an instrument," Meisner once said, "you're keeping the music alive." It was a natural fit, and before long, he knew he had to leave Nebraska behind. With only his bass guitar and determination, he set out for Los Angeles. In the mid-1960s, law was a paradise for dreamers, but also a battlefield. Meisner worked his way through small bands, living on scattered gigs, until he joined the Poor, a short-lived rock group that gave him his first taste of recognition. His real breakthrough came when he was invited to join Poco, a new project formed by Richie Furay and Jim Messina after Buffalo Springfield split. Poco was pioneering a sound blending rock and country in ways no one had done before. Meisner's soaring vocals and steady bass lines gave the band depth, but before their first album was even released, tensions drove him away. It was the first of many times Meisner's talent would be overshadowed by conflict. He soon found himself alongside rockabilly legend Rick Nelson in the Stone Canyon Band. Touring with Nelson taught him discipline and precision, and it was here that Meisner truly began to understand how to connect emotionally with audiences. Still, he hadn't found the place where he belonged until fate stepped in. In 1971, Linda Ronstadt needed a backing band for her tour, and Meisner joined up. With Don Henley, Glenn Frey, and Bernie Leadon, their chemistry was undeniable, and when the tour ended, the four decided to form a band of their own. They called themselves the Eagles. If Pogo was an experiment, the Eagles were the finished masterpiece. They didn't just blend country and rock, they perfected it. Among all the talent, Meisner's voice stood out. Long before Henley became the primary singer, it was Meisner who held the highest range and the most emotional delivery. He never craved the spotlight, but when the Eagles released Take It to the Limit, it was Meisner's voice that soared, pushing audiences to tears. For a moment, the quiet bassist from Nebraska was at the very center of one of the biggest bands in the world. Yet success came at a cost. Glenn Frey was ambitious and controlling. Henley was sharp and calculating, while Meisner simply wanted to play music. As the Eagles grew into one of the most successful rock bands of the 1970s, the pressure mounted. By 1977, the band was on top of the world with Hotel California, but inside, things were falling apart. Every night, audiences demanded Take It to the Limit, but Meisner's health was collapsing. He was battling pneumonia, his voice hoarse, his body exhausted. When he refused to sing one night in Knoxville, Frey erupted backstage, accusing him of letting the band down. The fight turned physical, and for Meisner, it was the breaking point. "I couldn't enjoy the music anymore," he later said. "It was sanity or money, and I chose sanity." Shortly after, he quit the Eagles. The band replaced him with Timothy B. Schmidt, the same musician who had replaced him and Poco years earlier, and soared to even greater heights. Meisner, meanwhile, stepped into uncertainty. His solo albums in the late 1970s and early 1980s had moments of brilliance, but without the Eagles machine behind him, he never found the same success. Unlike Henley and Frey, who thrived in their solo careers. Meisner withdrew. He wasn't built for the ruthless world of fame. He simply wanted to play music. In the decades that followed, Meisner faded from the spotlight. When the Eagles reunited in 1994 for the Hell Freezes Over tour, he wasn't invited. Rumors swirled that he turned it down for health reasons, but whatever the truth, his absence was glaring. By the 2000s, his struggles deepened. He battled bipolar disorder and alcoholism, and his health declined further. His marriage to Lana Ray Meisner was at times his only source of stability, but even that ended in tragedy. In 2016, Lana was killed in what police ruled a freak accident. Shot while moving a gun in their home, devastated, Randy Meisner retreated completely from public life. Then, on July 26, 2023, the news broke. Randy Meisner had died at the age of 77 from complications of COPD. His death brought sadness, but also a wave of reflection. Fans and musicians alike were forced to reckon with just how much he had contributed and how much he had been overlooked. At first, Don Henley remained silent, leading many to wonder if old tensions still lingered, but finally, he spoke in a statement. He called Meisner an integral part of the Eagles and praised his rare vocal range, saying his performance on Take It to the Limit would forever move millions. Later, in an interview, Henley recalled a private conversation. Randy once told me he wished he had never joined the Eagles. He said he'd rather have been a carpenter in Nebraska than a rock star. He hated what came with fame. Henley didn't dwell on the conflicts, nor the ways Meisner had been pushed aside, but in his words was a hint of regret. Other bandmates followed. Joe Walsh mourned his passing, calling him a remarkable talent. Timothy B. Schmidt acknowledged that without Meisner, the Eagles would not have been what they were. For the first time in decades, Randy Meisner's role in shaping the Eagles was given the recognition it deserved. He was more than the quiet bassist in the background. He was a cornerstone of the band's sound, a man whose voice carried the weight of emotion that helped define an era. Randy Meisner's story is bittersweet. He never sought the spotlight, and perhaps that's why it never sat comfortably with him. But through it all, his music remained pure, untouched by ego. His soaring vocals on Take It to the Limit still move listeners today, and his bass lines remain the foundation of some of the most timeless songs in rock history. He may have lived quietly in his later years, but his place in music will never fade. As long as the Eagles' songs are played, Randy Meisner's voice will always soar forever, taking us to the limit.